Hugh's got us booging on a Tuesday about Jackson Arnold.
In the world full of podcasts, he's the undisputed heavyweight champion of hot takes, an Auburn sports homer, master of the boog, and message board legend. Get your buttons buttoned and your hats flattened because the Top Button Podcast is about to kick off. And you don't want to miss your courtside seat. Now, here's your host, Charlie Five.
Yes, sir. We're back. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast, bonus edition, with my man Ben Taylor from the Auburn Sports Network. I'm your host, Kyle Rush, a.k.a. Charlie Five. We've been kind of MIA the last 2 weeks as far as me being able to put it up on my channel, but we're going to have fun today. We're going to talk about Hugh's comments on the Feinbaum show about Jackson Arnold that gets us fired up. I mean, anytime you can hear positivity in May, you're going to get fired up. I know Ben's fired up. I'm fired up. We're going to talk about Jackson, expectations on the season, and then, hey, unfortunately, it could go wrong. So what happens if things do go wrong? We're going to dive into that in just a second. But before we do that, let's give a quick shout out to mybookie.ag. Go to mybookie.ag, use coupon code BARN, BARN, for a 50% deposit bonus. Diet Mountain Dew, send the check. And up to the bonus is up to $1,000. So give them $100. They're going to give you 50 back free to play with. There's a sporting event going on right now. Apparently, playoff hockey must be just the most incredible thing ever. I got to get into it because
if you live outside the state of Alabama,
more and more people that I know in the state of Alabama are falling in love with the sport of hockey. Well, you can bet hockey, you can bet NBA playoffs, you can bet Major League Baseball, everything going on at mybookie.ag. Easy deposits, easy withdrawals. Check them out. It's mybookie.ag. Take it away, Ben.
You got to do the do.
You got to do the do. Send the check, though.
Send the check. Kyle, it is anytime we start talking quarterbacks and starters and getting excited about what could possibly be on the field, it feels like a whole year from now, even though it won't be. Summer will actually fly by, but still, it feels like when you start talking about football season, you're sitting there going, okay, it's May. We haven't even made it through baseball season. We still got golf major championships to get through. Yes. But instead, we're focused on Hugh Freeze, who goes on Feinbaum and just unleashes the boog for all of us as far as a quarterback play is concerned.
Yeah, man, he had a lot of really good stuff to say. Look, there's a life cycle, in my opinion, of fandom that leads up to the football season, and every fan, after the season, depending on how the season went, you're either really negative or you're super positive. And if you're really negative, it really starts to take until about May, June, and July to when you think, hey, we got a chance to make the playoffs. So I'm not all the way there yet, but as I have been
for a month. I've been there.
Well, see, your fandom life cycle has accelerated. Well, I'm still not quite there yet, but when you start talking about quarterbacks and quarterbacks gaining confidence, I'm getting closer to thinking by the time August rolls around, I'll be crowning us playoff champions. So it's always fun at this time of the year to get anything out of your coaches and stuff, especially talking about quarterbacks. And Hugh had a lot of good stuff to say about Jackson Arnold.
And if you're wondering what we're talking about, he goes on with Feinbaum and he says, quote, this is him on Jackson Arnold coming from Oklahoma. He just need probably a restart for whatever reason. Kyle and I talked about that before. We completely agree. He got benched at Oklahoma. Now he's also throwing to his 5th and 6th wide receiver at Oklahoma. So maybe that had something to do with it. I'm not sure. But he said, and just excited about what I saw. He's got the arm talent. He's got the legs. He's got the football IQ. Those are 3 important things when playing quarterback, Kyle. And he said, I think he just needs confidence. And I think that confidence grew this spring along with our and his rapport with the receivers. But truthfully, you probably just don't know. Regain or gain that confidence or swagger is what he referred to it as until we really get into the bowels and have success. So he says, I'm really confident with what I saw in him and in Deuce throughout the spring. This has got to at least put some confidence in fans when people go, I don't know if we have a quarterback.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like he thinks we have 2 with one that could really have a breakout season because let's call it what it is. He was recruited a 5+ star. We've talked about this.
Gatorade Player of the Year.
So The talent is there. Is it? I would be confident throwing to Cam Coleman. I'm just going to be honest with you. I mean, that's a catch radius. Remember those old dish satellites that sit in your grandparents' yard?
Oh, yeah.
That's the catch radius for Cam Coleman when you throw it out there.
Those things are still around. Every now and then you'll see one. They're huge.
We actually have them outside the radio station.
Can you believe that was like a thing? Like that was a thing. They put that thing in your yard.
Oh, some people put it in their front yard. Like it didn't matter. The company would be like, it's got to go here. Okay, as long as we get to watch Jefferson Pilot when it comes Saturday morning.
And you could hear that thing turn too. It was like, I mean, it was a legit machine. It's crazy. But yeah,
that's going to breed confidence, right?
For sure. Look, I've said whenever we got Jackson Arnold that if you gave Hugh a ball of clay to create the most perfect quarterback, I think it would look a lot like Jackson Arnold. And he mentioned stuff. He talked about his legs, his ability to run, his arm talent, and his football IQ, athleticism. To me, he's got all of those things. Last year, if you could come up with a Murphy's Law situation, it could not have been more of a definition than Oklahoma's offense last year. From injuries, from firing an offensive coordinator in the middle of the season, to your offensive coordinator that you committed to leaving after your freshman year and getting a head coaching gig. I mean, thing after thing after thing going wrong. I can't imagine I can't imagine how damaging that could have been just to your overall confidence of going out and say, hey, is it me? Is it me that's causing this? And I think
you lose all your receivers too, Kyle. You lose your
receivers, offensive line. I mean, so many weapons, but I mean, you got to at some point kind of start doubting yourself a little bit when it's like thing after thing is going wrong. And maybe none of it was really in your control. So I imagine there has to be a little bit of a period where you have to do that, get your confidence back, get your swagger back. You can only do so much, though, in practice. And I'm sure there were times where he, as practices went on, I'm sure he got more and more comfortable, talked about building the rapport with the receivers, understanding how they run their routes, how they make their decision-making process, because there's a lot of decisions that the receivers have to make in this offense rather than just the quarterback, and they got to be all on the same page. And as practices go on, practices go by, you build that confidence back. But in reality, just like you said, the Baylor game to me is absolutely massive for as far as a I'm trying to think tone setter. Yes, setting the tone for Jackson and this offense for the rest of the season. I'll be honest. I think the first two drives of the game are extremely important for him being able to get his swagger back. You don't become Gatorade Player of the Year unless you got confidence, unless you got a little bit of swag to you, moxie to be able to go out there and let it rip. And like when you start doubting yourself, that's whenever you stop doing those things. So those first two drives and everything leading up to it, I think are extremely important. But at least Hugh sees, I know he's not going to say, man, we're in trouble in an interview, but to list out some specific things to see the positive direction that things could be going, I think should get you a little bit excited.
Well, I mean, he needs Cam Coleman. He needs Perry Thompson. He needs Singleton. He needs all of these guys. And the reason being is just for what Hugh said in that quote is he went last year without it. Whenever they had a new coordinator take over, that coordinator basically says, we're going with the future. So we're going to put the kid back there, and went with the freshman who ended up beating Auburn. Now, I would venture to say that Auburn's offense beat Auburn probably in that game, not necessarily the freshman. So
he didn't do anything.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. So, I mean, I get if you're Oklahoma where you're coming from, but I also get where Hugh's coming from, saying that probably set him back mentally a little bit. And he needs that. I'm going to push back on you a little bit. I don't know that it's the first two drives, but I will say that I think after that first half of football, I need to see, they call those explosive plays, those 20-plus yard plays. I want to see minimum 2 in that first half. Of 20-plus yard plays. And that's just because of the weapons he has around him he doesn't even need that 3 seconds to let go of the ball. He's got guys that can get down the field way faster than 3 seconds and be able to just take that 3-step drop and put it somewhere, even if it's a timing route.
Sure. And the reason I went with 2 drives is because I think this offense has no issue moving between the 20s.
Yeah.
But we'll be able to see. Last year, that was a big Achilles heel, is once you got into the red zone, being able to punch it in and score. And that's when mistakes would happen. And I want to see Jackson be able to, take them down and punch it in. And I think you're going to get probably 2 quick opportunities, to go get it, to go, punch one in and let it and get things rolling. So we'll see, man. Again, it's good to see, confidence, and it's good to see positive news, I guess, heading out there towards Jackson and Jackson and Deuce. So feels good
going into summer workouts. Well,
yeah.
Let's talk expectations. Let's talk about that. What we're thinking we may see.
Absolutely. Before we do that, let's give a quick shout out to rowback.com. Use coupon code BUTTON20 to take 20% off your order. If you want polos, shorts, joggers, pants, doesn't matter. They got it all, and the stuff looks good and it feels good, and you can save big by using that coupon code. So make sure you check them out. Get stocked up for summer. They got swimsuits too. I know Ben's fired up for pool season. So
I don't wear swimsuits.
It's time to, tarps off, baby. It's time for tarps off. We're jumping in the pool, and they got the swimsuits for you. So check them out, rowback.com.
All right, expectations for Jackson Arnold. We talked about that a little bit. I guess my expectation is I don't know what to expect. However, with the weapons he has around him, I think that Hugh and staff are going to give him. You mentioned before we went to break, you mentioned that confidence that he needs, and you mentioned doing good between the 20s. So how much do they let loose, and you let the receivers give him the confidence when they get down to the 25-yard line or the 30? You know what? Let's throw 2 to the end zone to our big. Let's just go ahead and let's see if we can get him some confidence right here. Let's let somebody high point a ball, see if they can come down with it. And I think that Auburn has the team in order to be able to do that, and the receivers on the outside.
I don't know that they have an option other than doing that. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's
sort
of the way this roster is going to be is constructed. I mean, that's kind of the strength. Those outside receivers are going to be, big jump up and go get it type guys. You got Horatio Fields, you got Cam Coleman, you got Perry Thompson, and then you got enough skill guys in the middle to be able to make things happen and take a short pass and turn it into a long gain as well. I think you don't really have an option. I don't really see the receiving threat at tight end right now. Someone could materialize. So I don't see that being your red zone option. You don't have that Rivaldo Fairweather player on this roster. I don't really see the Jarquez Hunter yet. Could Damari, blossom into that guy? Could Jeremiah Cobb blossom into that guy? Could Darrell Robinson be that guy? I don't know, but I don't necessarily see that short yardage back either that is going to be able to, punch it in when they have to. I guess you could rely on Jackson and his legs at times, but it seems like if you're going to want to punch stuff in, this is just going to be a completely different Auburn team than we're probably used to. They're going to probably have to put the ball in the air 35 to 40 times a game. And I think I think that's probably the recipe for success with this team. So if we're talking expectations, again, Auburn's only had 2 3,000-yard passers ever. And I think that obviously last year, had you never benched Peyton Thorne, he probably eclipses that, believe it or not, with the season he had. I mean, there were some games. I mean, he ended up with 2,700 yards, and he sat out a game and a half. And then in one of the halves that he came in, he threw for over 200 yards. So the system can create passing yards. So to me, anything around 3,000 yards to me, or a little bit more, is not that much to ask out of a quarterback in a Hugh Freeze system. Obviously, I'd love to see a few more touchdowns. He had 21 touchdowns last year. to 9 interceptions, which isn't terrible. They really did protect the ball a little bit better towards the end of the year. But yeah, I think that's kind of what I'm looking at. So if I can get somewhere around 3,000 yards, 25 plus touchdowns, and complete somewhere around 65% of your passes, I mean, I don't think that's too much to ask. And I don't think that's going to be too hard to achieve with A, the system, and then B, the receiving talent around him.
You've done a whole pod on this. You and I have talked about this as well. The reason my expectations are high for him is because what he goes against every day in practice.
Yeah.
And what those receivers go against every day in practice. And I honestly, this is not a slight against Baylor, but I think in game one, as bad as it sounds, that's why I say give it the first half instead of the first couple of drives. I think he walks out there and realizes these dudes ain't as fast as what I've been going against every day. The game slows down a little bit. Yeah. And then he finally realizes, holy moly, these guys are open.
Like, yes. A lot. Yes. It's like swinging a bat with a weight on it. And then when you take the weight off, the bat weight hasn't changed. It just feels a lot lighter. Yeah. It's the exact same thing. I think this DB room, I would almost put them up pound for pound against the wide receiver room. Like you're going to have, like they're the two best position groups as a whole, in my opinion, on the team. So you're going, good on good every single day. And the quarterback's a huge part of that. So I'm with you. Those windows that are like extremely tight in practice may open a good bit whenever you play a team that I don't think Baylor's just going to be a pushover by any means, but let's just be honest. They're not going to be as talented top to bottom as this Auburn team. Now it's just a matter of like going out and executing. So I'm with you. I think that could be one of those oh my gosh, look at this. Usually I got to fit it into a window like this. And now I got some breathing room. So I'm with you.
Well, especially with the freaks of nature. I mean, you talk about Singleton on the outside and he makes one move on a guy and he gets by him. That guy's not catching him.
No.
At a 4.2 40, he is not catching him. So that's when that 3-step drop, he looks downfield and goes, holy moly, look at what I've got waiting on me down at the other end of the field. So
exactly.
Now I am totally just being all Auburn right now. And as you talked about it, we're bugging right now, but let's talk about the backup plan. If that confidence does not get to him or he freaks out or the game actually reverses. I said it slowed down. What if it speeds up on him? What if there's so many moving parts with this offense that he just gets a little bumfuzzled and is like, oh no. So then what do we do?
I mean, there is the possibility that damaged goods, there's sometimes damaged goods you can't return to the store and get your money back. Like they're just damaged. So there is a possibility that that's the case. And like he sees the guts, may see ghosts from, even if it wasn't necessarily his fault, there's very well that could be a possibility that happens. As far as backup plan goes, like, look, there's not many, I guess, examples you can point to out there of go into your backup and the play getting better. I don't think, especially unless it's maybe an injury and it's not something you're necessarily expecting. Maybe sometimes your backup, if they have an extended period of time, they get better. But usually if it's poor play and you got to bench somebody and you put in the backup, I mean, can you think of an example where a team got better in a scenario like that?
Only one.
Name it.
Florida, when I think Warfel went in, he threw a touch, and then he stayed starter from there on out.
Okay, there you go.
That's literally the only one.
We got to go all the way back to like 92.
And the only reason I know that story is just because I've heard Spurrier give that speech where he turned around and he said, "Can anybody make that throw?" And he said, "I can," and he put him in, and he never came out after that.
Yeah. So in other words, it doesn't happen very often.
No, it's happened once in my lifetime, Kyle. I've seen it once.
To me, the conversation will be: do you give Ashton Daniels? Do you try to salvage the season?
That's where I was going with it. Yes.
Do you try to salvage the season and give Ashton Daniels the nod because of the experience? And he's not even here yet, so like we don't even know, how he fits and how good he looks. I know he's got talent, and I know he's a very, fun runner to watch. Or do you go ahead and start planning for the future? The problem with that is this is year 3, and you're going to, if you throw Deuce out there and that doesn't work, I mean, man, now we have to really start asking some tough questions. So Do we have a quarterback evaluation problem, or do we have a quarterback development problem? Have people figured out this offense? There's a ton of questions. I don't necessarily think it's the offense part of it.
I don't know.
So, I mean, you're going to have to answer some tough questions if it doesn't work. I don't even want to think about that, but I mean, it is a very real conversation. I think the question is, do you try to salvage the season with Ashton, or do you plan for the future with Deuce? And it may be at what point in the season you make this decision. If it's a little bit later in the season, maybe you roll with Deuce. If it's at the beginning of the season and you make the decision, maybe you go with Ashton. I don't know but that is going to be the discussion that we're going to be talking about. Should, heaven forbid, this doesn't work out with Jackson, but I don't
quick
anticipate
is that trigger. You talked about the first couple of drives. I talked about the first half. What if we go into halftime down 10-0 and the offense has not moved anything outside the 40s?
I don't think game one. I think you just got to wear it. Game one. I don't know.
You're gonna have to wear it, but you know what? All the chirping that from on here, from your pod to
I
message boards to Twitter to you name it, it's gonna be like, oh my gosh, here we go again.
Here we go again. I can't stand yanking quarterbacks in and out. I hate that more than anything. I would rather just honestly let a guy almost
fight the demons.
Yeah, fight the demons and work it out. Because again, it just never happens. It never happens. We always call for the backup. The backup's never better, ever. Like
he's a backup for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know we can point to like an example of like, when TJ Finley came back and, they had that one drive against Georgia State and we won that game. But did you want TJ Finley to play the whole rest of the season?
Absolutely not.
No. So I would just rather you went in on Jackson Arnold. You can't pull the plug that quick. I mean, I think you probably got to at least go through at least the first 4 games before if it's that bad to me after the first 4 games and you pull the plug, then maybe look at Ashton Daniels. If you get later in the season, then you're talking about Deuce. So I don't know.
That's awesome. I like it.
Way to end on a terrible note. We're not going to pull him there.
Terrible note. We knew we were coming. What's the backup plan? Of course, that's why we're not coaching. I mean, hopefully they got one because we could very well have to see it a few games in the season.
Absolutely, Ben. Tell them where they can find you and support you.
AUnetwork.com is where you find me Monday through Friday on. We do sports just after 7, like this one with Kyle. I also got Double D, Daryl Dapprich on, even Zach Blackerby on, and a whole lot more. So you guys come and see us. AUnetwork.com. Click on the WANI logo.
There you go. You know where to find me. I'll be back here every single day this week, and we're going to make sure we're more on point with these bonus pods. So we'll talk again soon. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. Stay buttoned.
Thanks for listening, and drive home safely.